What's going on, everyone? This is Dom, and today we are talking about the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Plus and my full thoughts after a week of use, so let's jump into it. So for this set of reviews, I was primarily using the iPhone 15 Plus because it does have a larger display, and I'm not usually one to use devices with a larger display, so I wanted to see how that fared within my regular life. But just remember that there's not really that big of a difference between these two besides that larger display and, of course, larger battery capacity because we have more space inside. So with the iPhone 15, we pretty much have the same design as last year. There's a bit of a different back on here where it's kind of a matte finish, which I actually really do like. This is the pink color. It might be hard to tell in the video because it is barely pink, and a lot of the other colorways in the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus are kind of like that, where they are just slightly colored in that way, except of course the black definitely looks like a black iPhone 15. But when you get to the blue and the green and the pink and things like that, it's a very, very light version of that color, so not very pronounced. We do have more rounded edges along the sides and the front too here, so it doesn't feel quite like a brick in your hand. It definitely has a nice curve to it. I don't know, I really do like the rounded edges that they put on the iPhone 15 series and the iPhone 15 Pro series. It just makes it feel better in the hand, at least in my opinion. So when it comes to those design changes, yes, on the bottom of the iPhone 15 series, just like the iPhone 15 Pro, we have USB Type-C, but this is a little different than what you'll see on the Pro series because the USB Type-C on the bottom of the iPhone 15 series is only rated at USB 2.0 speeds. It would have been nice to see USB 3.0 speeds here just because why not? We can add it. I mean, it just creates overall faster transfer speeds, but I get that we're not transferring some of the high-level, high-end Pro video from an iPhone to a MacBook or things like that through the bottom port here. So that may not be necessary, and it may not be something that everybody is going to really care about. It just would have been nice to see. One thing that we don't have on the iPhone 15 series that we do have on the Pro series is the action button. That is missing from here. We still have your regular old mute switch on the side of the iPhone 15 series. Again, another thing that would have been nice to see on this lineup, but if you're nostalgic for the mute switch and you just want a new phone that's going to have just that and not the action button stuff to mess with, well, you might want to consider the iPhone 15. Now, like I said, the big differentiator here when it comes to whether or not you choose to get the iPhone 15 or the 15 Plus is going to be a 6.1 inch display or a 6.7 inch display here on the iPhone 15 Plus. So we have a bigger display there. Now, both of these displays are running at 60 hertz, and a lot of people are going to be upset that we don't have 120 hertz on these displays. But one thing that we do have on the display that we didn't last year is the dynamic island, and that is shifting over from the Pro series. As I said, the dynamic island is so stupid useful. You can use it to keep an eye on background tasks that are running while you're doing something else in the foreground. It just displays a nice little icon or image or text at the top of the dynamic island to let you know what's going on in the background. You can easily tap on that to access shortcuts to the app, or you can tap into it to be able to access the full app. It's just a nice thing to have all around. Other than that, though, there's really not much of a difference between those two phones as far as the specifications go, so we're going to just continue talking about my experience with the iPhone 15 Plus. So inside of the iPhone 15 series, we have the A16 Bionic chip, and that is a processor that came inside of the iPhone 14 Pro series. So we have that Pro level chip inside of the base model iPhones, which is really great. So a lot of my use with the iPhone 15 Plus was definitely taking photos because the camera on this is pretty amazing. I mean, we do have a 48 megapixel sensor inside, which is really great. And on top of that, we do have a lossless 2x zoom on there as well. So what it does is it crops in on the sensor and gives you a more zoomed in look without sacrificing optical quality, which is absolutely fantastic. We do have an ultra wide lens on here, which is a 12 megapixel camera as well. Both are very great. The camera on this thing performs as expected. I mean, I expected it to be pretty awesome. And you know what? Surprise, surprise, it is pretty awesome, as you can see on the screen here. I took a lot of different photos, a lot of different lighting conditions, and everything just turned out absolutely great. I have nothing bad to say about the camera here, except that it would have been nice to see the same sensor that we have on the Pro series in here. But again, does that really matter to the everyday person that's buying one of these iPhones? We have to think about it. A lot of people are gonna say, well, they could have just included it to include it, and that would have been nice, and of course it would have, but I don't think that it makes a difference to the people that are actually buying this phone. But as always, if you want to see a full gallery of the photos that I took with the iPhone 15 Plus, I will leave a link down below in the description for you. And along with all of that, we also do have what I like to call always on portrait mode, where you can go in after the fact and make a photo, a portrait photo, as long as you did a tap to focus, or it was a person or a dog or a cat, and it works pretty good, and I actually really love this feature. Now, we've talked about the design, we've talked about the camera, let's talk about battery life, because honestly, this phone, the iPhone 15 Plus, has the best battery life out of any iPhone, at least in my opinion. I mean, I'm getting 7.5 hours of screen on time with this thing. Don't get me wrong, the battery life in the iPhone 15 is great as well, but nothing compares to the iPhone 15 Plus and how long this thing can last out in the field, whether you're checking emails, browsing the web, taking photos. It really doesn't matter. This thing is going to be king as far as the battery life is concerned. Now, of course, when it comes to both of these phones, the reason why they have the kind of feature set, design, and everything that they have is because they are less expensive on the spectrum of iPhone pricing. I mean, we have the iPhone 15 coming in at $799 and the iPhone 15 Plus coming at $899, and I think those are very respectable prices. I mean, I think that for a lot of people out there, like I said, you'll be absolutely fine if you went with an iPhone 15 over an iPhone 15 Pro, because honestly, the feature set in them, it's an iPhone. It works just like an iPhone, and everybody, all the everyday people can appreciate that. Like I said, this isn't for the tech nerds out there that are really looking for the latest bleeding edge technology inside of their phone. This phone, these two phones here, the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, are for everyone else. And that's actually a lot of people out there. I definitely recommend you check it out if you're interested. If you haven't got your hands on an iPhone 15 or an iPhone 15 Plus, definitely go into the Apple Store, try one out, see how you feel about it, and let me know what you think down in the comments section. Did you order either of these phones, or are you more of a pro model person? I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit the thumbs up button. If you're new around here to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when new videos like this drop in the near future. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really do appreciate it. Once again, this is Dom, and I will catch you in the next video.